All right. So, in this lesson, we're going to wrap up chapter 1 with levels 3 and 4 of happiness. This was the last slide of last lesson. Level 2 happiness is largely characterized by self-centered people. We're going to take a big shift into level 3, which is going to be more selfless. But y'all got this last class, right? All right. And here you see pictured on my slide. So just a stay-at-home mom who says, I just want to focus on my kid for however many years. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I want a really strong family. Why? Because family will make me happy. And that is true. And every one of you has experienced some happiness with your family. You know, some of us have better families than others, better parents than others. None of our families or parents are perfect. But that makes us happy, right? And so, you know, some of you men, the stay-at-home dad thing is a growing trend if you haven't seen. You may just choose this, and why? Because you believe, not wrongly, that that'll be happiness. Whether you are a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home parent, or you are a missionary that just wants to bring clean water to everybody in Africa. If you want to solve world hunger or cure cancer, and that is your life purpose, and you identify with that, all of that is good. You, whether it's small or big, you are associating your happiness, your satisfaction in life with serving other people, with helping other people. Helping other people makes you happy, which is why in Catholic schools we typically mandate volunteer service. We want you to experience that. It's serving others, making other people happy makes you happy. And this is a lasting happiness. If this is your happiness, you're going to choose to be a nurse, you're going to choose to be an EMT, you're going to choose to be maybe a police officer or a fireman. You're going to choose a field where you just genuinely want to help people, and it's going to pay your bills, and that's enough for you. Like, that is joy in service, you know? Pretty much, I think any job you have out there can have this level of happiness. There's just some that are more obvious than others. Teachers, you know, I just want to spread wealth and knowledge, you know, to people, and that makes me happy. Y'all have experienced this when you clean up after a flood or a hurricane. You know, you feel that satisfaction, that pride, knowing that you made somebody's life who's been wrecked a little bit better. Amen, cross country leader. And I know the cross country team went out there. The tennis team did. You know, we cleaned up a cemetery out in Lake Charles after Laura, and you know, we didn't see any people out there that we impacted, but even though we're just cleaning up a cemetery, we don't even see anybody alive. The tennis players were begging me to drive them back there the following weekend. You know, I was like, all right. I was like, I can't do this every weekend. But we get that satisfaction for whatever reason. You know, it's part of the human heart. That is a true level of happiness that lasts. There's going to be days where you're going to go back to, I remember I was happy and I was completely sober. I was just helping other people. Level 3 happiness. Okay. But the question is, I'm sorry, I teased you right there, but I got your attention. I want to try to have a discussion right now, if you can. This is some level of authentic happiness. It's lasting, it's meaningful, you're in community with others, you're not selfish, and it's not destructive to you like level 1 is. Is it, and this is probably the hardest question on your test, is level 3 enough to sustain a lifelong happiness? Why or why not? Go ahead if you think you got it.
I don't think so, because you don't have, even though it's a good deed, you don't have God.
You don't have God. And you know, I've already told you that level 4 involves God. The question is, why is God necessary to the human life? but why? I hate to sound like my 3-year-old son this morning, who he's going to preschool today. He's wearing purple. Today's purple day. Daddy, are you going to wear purple? I said, no. Why? I said, well, I go to different school. Why? I said, buddy, I think I'm going to wear brown. I think today's brown day. Why is it brown? I was like, because I want it to be brown. I hate that these questions get to me, but I have to throw them back at you. But well, why does God why do you need God to fulfill your life? What is it about God?
So like with level 3 love, it's like an imperfect love, like between you and whatever. But with level 4 love of God, is perfect love, or can be.
All right, there's a start. I love my wife. My wife loves me. We actually have a vow to help perfect our love in every stage of life. However, we're never going to get there. And I'm never going to experience a perfect life. I've never had anybody love me perfectly. And I can tell you 3 reasons why the best people in my life have failed to love me. And so can you. Doesn't that just suck? Doesn't that just hurt? That at the end of the day, we're not experiencing that perfect love, and it's frustrating. We crave it, and we look for it everywhere, and then we get our heart broken one time after another. And you get married, and it's super hard to be happy and married after a while. Alec's conclusion here was that we need our desire for perfect love is not in vain, and it is a perfect love that we seek, and that we can logically conclude it must be out there. And it's not found in humans. It's got to be found in our Creator, who is love. That's a good reason to say that we need God. You need God to fulfill your heart. See, what a lot of people do who say, oh, no, I don't need God. I'm just going to be spiritual. I'm just going to think about God. What they tend to do is they live with broken hearts. But what they say is, I'm just going to allow myself to be satisfied without God because, for whatever reason. But it's they've been hurt by people, but they accept that and they don't go past that. They simply say, yes, I'm going to live wounded. I'm going to live hurt. I'm not going to search for a perfect love, and that's the human tragedy that we allow ourselves to stay in this imperfect world. Because we don't have evidence, right, that there is a perfect world after this. Any other thoughts? Why do you need God? Yeah. I kind of created 2 boys. They can go on without me. They can choose to blow out you, blow off your parents. Um, your call. What is it about the fact that God created us that makes us necessarily go back to Him, Pascal?
Like serving other people versus serving God. Like other people, yeah, serving God would be more of a service, more of a
Hmm. Makes you feel better. Well, a lot of people will tell you, "Oh no, I don't get that feeling at all from serving God." You're onto something. You're onto something here. You're very close. But what is it about serving God and doing things, serving the poor, getting a soup line, a food line? What is it about doing that for God that is better than doing it for others? Okay. Nice. Yeah. And every time I give that bowl of soup to that homeless person, I am doing this, as we said, not only just for God, but we're doing this in a way that will echo throughout eternity, that will perhaps convey graces to this homeless person, that will give graces to me, and so that I can experience more and more perfect love. When I do this for God, it opens up the gates of heaven. One human being just helping another human being is fine and good and necessary, but there's no, but then there's ultimate failure, because in the case of a soup line, you're just helping somebody fill their stomach, and that's an endless task. Um, but when you serve it for God, there's a deeper meaning and purpose there. Let's turn to the woman who fed more homeless people than anybody else in history, Mother Teresa. Okay, if Mother Teresa, who helped more people than anybody else, we'll say, did all this, let's ask her if it's enough just to feed the homeless. Do you think, Mother Teresa says, that I could practice charity if I did not ask Jesus every day to fill my heart with his love? Do you think that I could go through the streets looking for the poor if Jesus did not communicate the fire of his charity to my heart? Without God, we are too poor to help the poor. So to round out Pascal's answer, it's that when we do service, what's to motivate us but God? And who's to strengthen us? Because it's hard. It's hard to do the right thing over and over, again and again. And you see some good results, mostly bad results. It's hard to stay in the fight. I'm, from a guy that's educated in the Catholic faith, see a lot of other youth ministers and Catholic school teachers. Burnout is real, and you just get tired of it after a while. And I'm not saying that everybody that leaves ministry is doing it because they're not in tune with Jesus anymore, but to keep doing what is good just to see it destroyed. You can go to Africa, you can build that well, you can give that tribe clean water, and that is great and that is wonderful, and we need to do that. And then the rival tribe comes and poisons the well. What do we do now? What is there to do now? How do you feel? I don't think you're happy. But if you're doing it for God, you have this sense of, I did it out of love, and I did it for a purpose that cannot be destroyed, and that these people in Africa experience the love of Jesus through me, and that can bring you peace when everything is destroyed. What about, have a more realistic example. Some of you maybe just want a family. I don't need to make $1 million, Mr. Peo, God. I just need a family. Okay, you're all excited. Maybe you're 25 years old. You're out of school. You're ready to start having kids. What happens when it's miscarriage after miscarriage? How happy can you be? You need God. You need God. Here's a list of reasons why level 3. We've said like half of these, but just to put them on paper for you to identify, for you to be able to explain on a test. Why do we crave God? Why is 90% of the world convinced of God's existence? Because, and this is something that Morgan started to talk about. Well, he created us. He not only created us, but he sustains us in service. So Mother Teresa says, I can't just be a good person on this level if I didn't have this high eternal motive pushing me, moving my heart, giving me this love or this vocation. That's number one. For your strength in service, how are you going to stay at level 3 and not fall down into levels 1 and 2 with God as your focus? You got to shoot past level 3 to do it right. You got to shoot to level 4. We have to have a true hope that kids starve every day. They starve to death every day. How can we be living in this world in the year 2020, 2021, and enough food for everybody? In fact, about 40% of the food produced in America is gone to waste, goes in the garbage, 40%. And people are still starving every day. How to have a genuine hope that the starving child can experience happiness. It just calls us to believe in heaven and God. To experience a perfect love, that's what Alex said. To be happy for eternity is what Pascal was trying to get at. the fact that in serving God, it is both brought to completion and fulfilled. And therefore, you know, it is God who fulfills all of our desires. And that is, of course, level 4 happiness. Yeah, sure, Ashton. Not a problem. We're covering a lot today, but we're not covering a lot today. Meaning, it's a short lesson, but it's going to make or break your life. Frankly, your vision of happiness. What is your goal? In life, is it to find God, or is it to succeed? You're gonna have to choose your prime love. All right. Anybody else need this? I'm gonna skip the video. It doesn't say anything I didn't just say. It just has nice coffee images. So level 4 happiness, Jesus teaches us, is that we will know you. Jesus is praying to the Father, that we shall know you, the one. Jesus says our happiness is in knowing God the Father, that having eternal life. And this is what brings our entire chapter into a cohesive close. And we started this chapter saying we're made in the image and likeness of God. And lesson 1 and finishing in lesson 5, we're saying that only God can fully satisfy us based on who we are. Now that we know who we are, we have to admit that only God fully rounds out the human picture. The sad thing is that while God can give you a lasting happiness on this earth, you will never have the fullness of God on this earth. You'll always be stuck in this wounded state of humanity with concupiscence and the like. That being said, we call heaven the Beatific Vision, that we shall see God face to face in heavenly glory, and that this is the fullness of happiness. That this is the true fulfillment of our desires. We got to start that Beatific Vision on earth. We got to start that relationship with God. We got to start getting to know God, to have it in the fullness forever. So we start this and we can experience the joy that God gives on earth, knowing that it's only complete with the Beatific Vision in heaven. And to go over your bell ringer now, for those of you watching virtually at home in your room, the bell ringer was John chapter 15, verse 11, which you did not have to look up in your Bible because it's on the wall right here. It's the verse that, is quite visible to you every day you come into the classroom. Jesus says, I came, I did everything, so that my joy might be in you and your joy might be complete. This is why Jesus came. He wanted you to be perfectly happy. What is joy but perfect happiness? Joy is this happiness found in God. Joy is a happiness that doesn't go away easily. And Jesus says, you're going to be persecuted, you're going to be crucified to death, you're going to be stoned to death, my apostles, but I will promise you this eternal happiness, in that you have been faithful to me, that you rejected the sins of this world, and you've chosen God above all else. It's on the wall, Luke. This is the answer to life. It's that Jesus came to bring us joy. Which I want you to ponder in your heart if you actually believe it. It's okay if your answer is no, because a lot of y'all, your experience of Jesus is the what might come off as a boring Catholic mass. Some of you have a better experience of Jesus than that. Some of you do not. And so it's hard for you to say, I imagine, it would be hard for me in high school. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. That hey, God is God my happiness right now? It's hard for you at your age because you're so distracted. You're working so hard to win a state championship, to make the team. You're working so hard to make this GPA, to get into college, to get that job. And you've got all these big questions about the here and now that to stop and say, oh, yes, none of these things satisfy me, only God, that takes a lot of wisdom and grace at your age. But just for you to be aware, just for you to identify how everybody in life is going to need God to make sense of so much of life to round it out. All right. Okay. A few more seconds on this slide. You know, if I were to ask you, do you get happy when you pray? Or do you look forward to prayer time? I'm willing to bet most of you would say no. You recognize it's important. You recognize it's maybe even necessary, but to actually get to the point where you like to pray, where you like to go to mass, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get there because we're born into a state that is very different. But to believe that that's possible, to work towards that, is is what could set you on a path for authentic success, which is heaven. You know. Okay. Good. So just to round out Beatitude, the title of lesson 4, this is that our quest of happiness is achieved with holiness, and it's this union of both happiness and holiness. This is what Beatitude is, and a phrase Christianity uses to describe um, how God fulfills, and God gives us this lasting happiness, this lasting joy of beatitude. And I want you to further recognize Catechism has this beautiful quote saying that this desire for happiness is of divine origin, meaning it is from God. God has placed it on the human heart in order to draw man to the one who alone can fulfill it. We all want to live happily. In the whole human race, there is no one who does not assent to this happiness, even if they haven't said so. God created you. When he made your soul, when he made any human person, he says, you have these abilities and you'll be happy when they are fulfilled. You have these, you are made in the image and likeness of God, and when you come back to me, you're going to be happy. All right. So just understand, of course, you have the definition from your vocabulist, but just understand that God has placed the desire for happiness on the human heart. That's all you need to understand from that slide. This slide is a long quote, but you don't have to write it down. So don't write it down. Just soak in this powerful quote from Fulton Sheen, who's about to be beatified by Pope Francis. He was the Archbishop in New York. Um, and he said this, that nothing short of the infinite, nothing short of God satisfies you. To ask you to be satisfied with less would be to destroy your nature. If the sun could speak, it would say that it was happy when shining. If the pencil could speak, it would say it was happy when writing. For these were the purposes for which they were made. You were made for perfect happiness. That is your purpose. No wonder everything short of God disappoints you. So it's just deep. It's already written into you. We have to spend our life searching for this. Okay. So thus closes the chapter. But everyone, eyes on the board. Eyes on the board. Eyes open. Just give them a little kick. So let me explain how your test is both easier and different for this chapter. This chapter, test averages boost up a little bit, in part because I'm giving you in advance the short answer question. You get one essay question for the written part. It's worth 50 points. 5-paragraph essay. You're going to write it on the spot on test day, which for y'all I believe is Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay. And this is the essay question. Describe the levels of happiness in separate paragraphs. Be sure, and I'll give you all this. You don't have to write it down. I'll post this on Classroom. Be sure to provide the nature of that level of happiness, the extent to which it makes us happy, why it does or does not fail us, and describe who might live at that level. So I'm looking for 3 or 4 things on every level of holiness for you to describe. So let me write you paragraph 1 right now, off the top of my head. In level 1, happiness is characterized by money, material goods, and pleasure. It comes in intense waves of gratification and instant gratification to those who seek happiness in there. It does not last very long. This cannot be our ultimate happiness because it's ultimately destructive to our human nature. An example of this would be Hugh Hefner, who pursued pleasure with everything he had, and therefore, you don't have to explain why he was or was not happy. Nobody here knows Hugh Hefner, or knew him, I should say. That being said, I just want you to identify this is what it looks like, a life of pleasure. People live here. Aristotle says the majority of people live here. Anyways, those are the elements that I'm looking for. Same thing for level 2, level 3, level 4. And then conclusion paragraph is paragraph number 5. In paragraph number 5, you're going to give me your own personal conclusion on this topic, on lessons 4 and 5. And you're going to write out whether or not you agree with these levels of happiness, what level of experience you have in this field of searching for happiness, where you see this in your classmates, where you see this in your family members and people searching for happiness. Are these levels of happiness temporary or not? Give me your personal opinion. Go ahead and disagree with me. You can still get a 10 out of 10. I'm grading you on the 5th paragraph, the conclusion paragraph, based on the amount of thought you've put into it. If I get 2 sentences from some of you lazy boys saying, yes, God only has to be our happiness, God makes us happy in the end, period, you ain't going to get 10 out of 10. I don't see anything personal. I don't see thought. I don't see reflection. I don't see a personal connection to this material. And it's big enough and broad enough that you know, you should be able to form your own opinion. Whether or not you agree with Mr. Peo or not, or the teaching, I should say, is irrelevant. Just give me your thought out opinion for 10 points. 5 paragraphs, 50 points, 50 multiple choice, chapter 1 test. And we'll do, of course, like I said, Jeopardy next class, so you get a glimpse of this multiple choice questions. You'll be in good shape. Questions on that test essay? All right. Thus ends the chapter.